So I will make a start, and if other people join us, then they can. I'm putting everybody on mute and turning the video off to begin with, because I'm going to be recording this and it's going to be going on YouTube, and it just means it's easier for the recording, and then I'll open it up to questions once we get past the presentation bit. So hello and welcome to a webinar, and this one is called How Do You Know Which Herb to Use? And it's a common question that lots of people want to know the answer to, because when you first start to learn about herbs, it can seem very, very daunting. You know, maybe you've read a few different books and different sources, and you know, the number of herbs out there are endless, in that there are thousands and thousands of medicinal plants, even within the UK. And so, you know, that's why I think, you know, we have so much more access to so many plants, and that's why people can get overwhelmed by just the sheer number. So that's really why I'm going to be talking about that. So I'm just going to start the presentation. It's going to let me share it. Right. Okay. Ooh, just jumped. So as I said, really this is a question that many people wanted to me to answer. So that was the premise of this this webinar. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Carpenter, and I am a herbalist based in the UK, and I run workshops and distant learning courses, and I live in Somerset. So what I'll be covering today is how do you know which herb to use, the secret, and using what you've learnt at home. Okay, so as I said, there are thousands and thousands of medicinal plants in the UK, and even if we go, we don't need to go even as far as that. We can even just go to the herbs that you even have on your spice rack, and you know, and in your tea cupboard, and probably, you know, you've got at least 5. I would say majority of people have got at least 5 before you even start going into the other kitchen cupboards and the fridge. Things like, you know, the old dried ginger, the you know, clove at this time. Yeah. You know, all the different spices that you've got on the spice rack, all of those have medicinal properties. So you've got all of those, and you know, they've got so many uses, which is great. But it can make people feel lost in that there are so many uses. How do you know what to use and when? So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So the secret is really we need to change the way that, and the language that we're using, because instead of moving from what uses the herb has, we really need to move that to what action the herb has. And that really is going to give us a clue as to how we can use it, and really be able to understand it better. So for people who don't know, a herbal action, simply put, is what a herb does. It's a description of what that herb actually does. So an would be anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, let me just admit people, antibacterial, antiviral. Those are all words that people sort of know you know, they're sort of commonly known, and these are actually herbal actions. These are describing what the herb does. So an example being chamomile. So we would say that chamomile has an anti-inflammatory action, which it does. But the great thing about chamomile is it actually has more like over 50 actions, which makes it which is why it's it's something that I mention a lot. If you'll know that I'm always talking about chamomile. So yeah, so it that's just an example of a herb that has you know, has 50 actions. So within that 50 actions, if we think about that in comparison to uses, you need to multiply it up. So that action can have lots and lots of uses in for lots and lots of conditions. So if that herb, our chamomile, has 50 actions, that use is then multiplied by the power of 10. So I'll let you do the maths. Basically, it means that you can basically treat anything with chamomile, which we all knew. So yes, that's what we get down to, is you really can do so much with really just one herb. Okay, so how do you know which actions a herb has? And really, it's the same way that you find anything. You really need to be able to get it from reputable sources. So whether that's internet sources, books, herbal books that you might have, they will likely have a section that will say herbal actions. So yeah, so you will see that. And if you've been in any of my courses, or slightly more advanced courses and study groups and things, I give out herbal monographs, and on those monographs there will be a section on herbal actions. Oh, there's a lot of people coming. Okay. So how do you know what actions you need? You probably know more than you realize, in that, for example, antiseptic for a graze, and therefore you might think that, you know, oh, you want a herb that's antiseptic in first aid, and so lavender has an antiseptic action, and therefore that's one that you use. Another example being, if you had a headache and you want an anti-inflammatory herb, you could actually use lavender, or you can use chamomile, or basically an anti-inflammatory herb. And for a cold and flu, you may want it to be antibacterial and antiviral, and those would be going into, you know, I mean, you know, echinacea and elderberry being the ginger, garlic being the high ones on that list. Zoom is misbehaving. So how do you know? So to apply this at home, the best thing to do is, which herbs do you have at home? So like I was saying about those herbs on the spice rack, maybe you have peppermint, or maybe you have chamomile in a tea bag, or maybe you have turmeric and ginger in the spice rack. Find out which herbs that you have, and do a bit of research and find out what actions those herbs have. So for example, you know, good old turmeric, lots and lots and lots and lots of actions. Ginger, and as I said, as I've already mentioned, chamomile, you know, ginger has an awful lot as well. So yes, these things that you have already in the kitchen have lots and lots of actions. So do find out, just start off with one, maybe two herbs that you've got, and you think, right, I'll look up the actions for those, and then you'll see that from those herbs.
Toki mä en ole edes nähnyt sitä ikinä ehjänä, että mä en oikein tiedä, että mitä mä odottaisin, mutta että
sorry, that was somebody came off of mute. So yeah, so really go and look up, and you can just do it with one. Just get into the habit of working out what actions that particular herb has, and then from those actions you'll suddenly realize that you can do so much with that just one herb. So you can still then relate it to the uses again, and then maybe you think, okay, so you know, ginger is an anti-inflammatory, and ginger is a pain reliever, and ginger is an antiseptic, and ginger is you know, the list is endless. So with all of those things, you'll realize that ginger can be used for hundreds and hundreds of conditions, because it's got those actions to be able to do those things. And that's really why herbs are so good, because they have these, often the majority of cases it will be lots and lots of actions, and then lots and lots of uses. So yeah, get out there and have a look at what you've got. Just start off with something really simple, maybe rosemary. You know, you've got some dried rosemary on the shelf, that kind of thing, and then go from there. Okay. So for people wanting to look up the herbal actions and maybe learn a bit more about it, so these are some good sources online. And when I put this video on YouTube, I'll put the links in the description, so they'll be on there if that's where you're going to get it, or I'll put it in the email as well. So the What are Herbal Actions by a Naturopathic Herbalist, A Guide to Basic Actions by Mountain Rose Herbs, that's very nice, I quite often recommend that one, and Herbal Terminology by the Herbal Academy, which is maybe the slightly more advanced version. So depending on what level you're at, you might find that one is a little bit more technical, but you know, you can still I'm sure understand it and take something from it. So those are just some good online sources about herbal actions, and some of them also list the herbs and their actions as well. So some of them are a bit more of a directory, as well as sort of explaining herbal actions and what you need to know about them as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna put us back to the main screen a second. Bear with me. Just gonna mute us. So if you want to ask any questions, I'll switch everybody back on. And obviously you don't have to, but if you did have any questions, then we can do that at this next stage. Well, if nobody has any questions, then I will leave it there. Okay. Thank you very much.